Welcome back to the show. We are going to be interviewing the girls from Smitten Kitten. We have Jessica and Jessie in our studios. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
We visited Smitten Kitten a few months ago, and it was highly reviewed in the local rags around here and in Minneapolis. Now, you guys we're on the Ethernet. You know, no one even knows who we are, what we look like, or anything. You guys have a brick and mortar store, and I think it's excellent to hear that you haven't had anything negative happen. Have you had any major support?
Well, okay. We've had negative things happen, but not from our community, and not feedback about the store being there. We've had problems within the industry.
From your suppliers, vendors, or?
Yeah, one problem in particular, when we first opened, we received our first shipment of product, which came UPS, and it was hot, and it was summer, and, you know, it was like 800 pounds of dildos and butt plugs and just these huge boxes coming into the store off the truck, and they were greasy. And we thought, good God, what has UPS done to our boxes? And Jennifer called the distributor and said, hey, Brian, what's going on? This stuff is a mess. And, you know, at that point we had spread things from one end of the store to the other, and these toys were greasy and slimy, and they smelled. They had like this noxious plasticky odor. And we were like, what is this? And she basically said, you know, what happened? Did they melt? Are they supposed to be like this? And we were trying to wash them off, and we couldn't get them clean. And he said, oh, yeah, it's summer. You know, they probably melted in the trucks. We'll get that fixed for you. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. And that was the end of the initial conversation with him. And we didn't feel good about it at all. So I got on the phone with a woman named Metis Black, who owns Tanta Silicone, the maker of that Fieldo Slim. And I explained the situation to Metis, and Metis was someone that we didn't really know, but we trusted and felt comfortable with through our brief interactions with her trying to order some things. And I said, hey, Metis, this is our situation. What happened? And she said, oh, that's completely normal, which totally, you know, I was taken aback. And she said, you know, those are jelly toys, and that's what jelly sex toys are like. So, of course, they're going to smell, and they'll be greasy because they have phthalates in them. And I said, what are phthalates? Because we had no idea. And she said, well, phthalates are toxic, and they're in all jelly toys, and that's why I work in silicone. And she explained why silicone's a healthy choice and why that's her business. She said, if you want to know more, get on the internet, go Google it. And she spelled out phthalate for me, and we started researching, and it was probably, you know, less than 2 hours later before we were horrified and, you know, not wanting these toys that we had ordered in our building at all.
And we're talking about a lot of your startup capital here, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, a huge amount of it. And Jennifer called Brian back, and she's kind of quick-tempered, and was really
Every good business has one of those people.
That's right. That's right. And at that point, she was, you know, really upset and said, what is this? What are you doing? Why are you selling this to people? What are you thinking? I don't ever want this in my store. How could you sell this to me? Yeah. And basically the conversation went on, and it came down to, this should be on 60 Minutes. Everyone should know about this. And that was when Brian quickly put on his angry New Jersey voice and told her that she better shut her mouth and watch who she was talking to, little girl. So Brian was not real happy with us, and we were not real happy with him at that point, but he took back all those toys from us. And finding out about the toxicity of those toys, which we can talk more about later if you want to know more.
I would love to know more.
We'll get into that
it kind of
toy section.
Repoliticized
We might
us.
have to up our time that we promised you, because that sounds like another show should be dedicated to talking about that.
Oh, we'd love to talk about it more. You know?
I'm really proud of you guys for being brave enough to stand up to the shit that's out there. And in the sex industry, there's a lot of shit. There's so much bullshit. And it's really hard to be a legitimate vendor of products and that makes quality goods. And it's so hard for the consumer to know what's bullshit from what's correct.
Which is exactly why we exist.
Yeah, and so I say hats off, kudos to you for standing up for it. That's excellent, and being brave enough to even talk about it now. The fact that you guys are being public, you're doing a lot in the community to educate people about what's right and wrong. And we were when we were at the party, we saw that you had distributed these cards.
And we were like, oh wow, we know who these guys are. And everybody else was like, oh yeah, we all know who they are. That's old news. And he was a little upset he didn't get to educate them.
But they're handing out cards that don't just promote. You're not handing out cards that just promote your company. You're handing out cards that teach people that some of the sex toys you may own are dangerous. They would pick it up and they thought, toxic sex toys, that's a horrible name for a product. And then we'd read the back and realize, oh, most of the sex toys we own are bad for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so not going to put that in my butt anymore. Okay. As a consumer, I never even thought that a dildo I would buy could ever hurt me. Like, for some reason, I feel like there's some FDA making sure that what I'm buying here is absolutely, completely biocompatible, totally safe, never going to cause anything, because everything else in America is.
Everything's
too safe.
But the sex industry. And I don't want to make it sound like I think the government should regulate the sex industry, because when the government gets in our bedrooms, it's ugly.
Oh, it's bad.
And that's, so that's not something that we're pushing for, because once you start saying, oh, well, the government should get involved, then the smitten kitten ends up in bed with Pat Robertson, and it's a nightmare, because you have no control over who decides to, bandwagon your cause.
Right.
But
so you do it through education.
Through education, so the consumers have information and can make smart decisions. And really, I think ultimately what I'd like to see is that these chemicals that are in these dangerous sex toys, they're not just in these sex toys. They're in your nail polish, and they're in your face lotion, and they're in the vinyl siding on your house, and they're in all sorts of places in the environment. And if those chemicals on their own were regulated, not just in my dildo, but
But I don't,
in my shower curtain.
I don't rub up against my siding on my house that often at the same time.
But when your house catches on fire, it's not even the smoke that kills you. It's the toxins, the dioxins that are released from the burning vinyl that kill you before the smoke ever bothers you. Because if your house were just made of wood and other kind of environmentally friendly products, you'd have black lung for a month, and you'd cough and you'd feel like crap, and then you'd get better. But it's all the plastics in your house that burn that kill you before the smoke ever does any damage to you. So if we were regulating the chemicals in these plastics that make them dangerous, then we'd all be healthier. So that's something
and on the same note, you're not rubbing up against your shower curtain intentionally necessarily, your plastic shower curtain, but when you open it and you have that overwhelming smell in your bathroom right as you hang it, and you have to open your bathroom window because it just stinks, that's those chemicals.
And you're ingesting them into your system through your lungs. Direct access to your
bloodstream. Every time you're breathing that in, you're taking in those chemicals, because your shower curtain has been sealed up and off-gassing for its whole shelf life.
Yeah.
Do you see how much we're learning from people who sell dildos? Is our audience appreciating how much we're bringing to you through our show? Just, I don't want the jelly dildos to be sold anymore, not because of even regulation, but because no one buys them anymore because they know better. I want there to be more shops like you. I want you to be the style that takes over.